おはよう、ケイチ。あら、ゆうべは何時に寝たの？
I did not sleep well last night. Kinda the same, actually. Kinda same, actually. My mother could tell from a single glance. I had the worst dreams. Nightmares, very ominous dreams, one after another, again and again. I woke up after each one, but could never even remember a fraction of what they had been about. But it was like those dreams were predicting something unpleasant, and I woke up in a terrible mood. Hey now, every day has been calm and fun before today, right? Those days should continue on, unchanging. And yet, anxiety was the only emotion growing within me. Why was that? Nightmares reflect your own anxiety. They show an uneasy mind that which you wouldn't admit to normally. Yesterday, I remembered the ominous conversations about Satoshi I had with Shion, Mion, and Rena. Right. My mind felt like it was in a black fog. Because we had talked about that. If I'd lived every day without causing a fuss, my reward would be ever more peaceful days. I understood that, so why did I cause such discord? But now that I thought about it calmly, a simple verbal slip on my part couldn't possibly change the world. Yeah, as long as I'm sorry for doing it and never talk about it again, there's nothing that anyone can blame me for, right? Besides, how would my fate possibly change just because Jesus fuck. This is the protagonist in a horror movie being like, what could possibly go wrong? Or, there's no way the killer's in our town. Jesus fuck. Okay, so before I continue, yeah, so we've been getting a lot of like themes of Keiichi being like, well, we're already getting to him not being able to sleep well, which normally this comes after the Watanagashi, so that's one thing. And now, here he is saying, as long as I'm sorry for doing it and never talk about it again, there's nothing that anyone can blame me for, right? So, assuming my theory on this all being time travel related, then this is like quite something. Also, hey Moon, thanks for stopping by. I hope you feel better. So, yeah, like I'm pretty sure this is just gonna be like, this could be related to Keiichi. Like, again, my theory of him being able to time travel. If you haven't seen the other Higurashi videos, at least on YouTube, that's one of my theories of like multiple timelines, which I'm sure, you know, anyone that's played this game might come to that conclusion at some point. At least that's what I'm assuming could be a possibility. And I'm only mentioning this again. If you are watching this on YouTube, I mean, I assume you've seen the other parts, or at least the post-chapter discussions that I do, so that's kind of included in there. But anyways, yeah, it's just super ironic that he's like, how could my fate possibly change just because I talked about this, as if it doesn't happen every single fucking time. Nothing was going to change. Oh, and the other thing, that every time, at least so far, every time something horrible is about to happen, Keiichi says something along the lines of, oh, yeah, I really wish for peaceful days. Like, he longs for peace, or like just happy days where things are carefree and he can hang out with his friends and just enjoy life. That happens every single time. Or that happens before something terrible happens every single time. Anyway. Yeah. Nothing would change. Nothing would change. Nothing would change.
気持ち悪い笑い。寝ぼけてるなら顔を洗ってらっしゃい。
Oh. I finally cheered up enough to smile, and Mom slapped me right back down. Now I was irritated again. Just things a little bit more. 1 second. There we go. There wasn't much time left before I had to meet up with Rena. I frantically started to get ready to go to school.
いってらっしゃい。車に気をつけるのよ。
気をつけるほど車もいないよ。南沢には。
I dashed out the front door. The morning air was far more refreshing than the water on my face. That's right, Keiichi. If you're sorry enough about it and reflect upon your mistakes, that's enough. Now let's pull yourself together and get to school. And I wish it was that easy, Keiichi. Like just saying sorry and then hoping things change. But sometimes it isn't that easy. Anyway, and return to fun, enjoyable days, where everyone laughs, plays, and just has a good time. I'll be nice to Satoko as an apology too. Yeah, wasn't I supposed to be her Nini until Satoshi got back? Irena too looked nothing like she had yesterday when she had that weird stuff. When she said that weird stuff. If I could only forget, then I could still act like nothing had happened. So I called out to her with all the energy I could muster.
Oh, ohayo, Rena. 相変わらず早いな.
I thought it was gonna shift to her like having the glossy eyes and being like, "What are you so fucking happy about?" Oh wait, do these guys have any art? Let's see. No, I think it would put them on screen if they did. Because sometimes like voice characters have just portraits from what I've been told. Anyway, there was little time before the same old morning homeroom began. But Satoko and Rika were unusually absent. Maybe they went to play somewhere. However, looking over and seeing none of their things... it looked like they really hadn't come to school. Irena seemed to be enjoying herself thinking about what their excuse for being late would be. Mion said something nonsensical as well, imagining how funny the reason they were late must have been. I had only come to school to see their energetic faces, since I figured it would get rid of these feelings I have. But the load on my chest remained where it was. It wasn't very pleasant at all.
Ohayou gozaimasu, minasan. Inchou, gore. Kids.
Our teacher finally arrived. Then, finally, I heard the pitter-patter of footsteps running down the hall. Rika was the first to run through the open door. And then Satoko didn't come.
遅刻ですよ、フルデさん。北条さんはどうしましたか?
It was unusual for Rika to be late, but equally unusual for Satoko, a ball of energy, to be absent at all. Everyone's eyes were wide at the series of strange events.
サトコはちょっと遅れるかもしれないのです。
熱でも出ちゃいましたか?
The teacher walked over to Rika and they started talking in hushed tones.
リカちゃんが遅刻でサトコが欠席なんて珍しいこともあるもんだよ。
そうだね。だけど、サトコちゃんどうしたんだろう。風邪かな。
Why now, when I most wanted to see Satoko's energetic face? The unease that had been building since last night tightened within my chest.
ケイちゃんは心配しすぎ。年頃の女の子にはね、どうしても体の都合で具合が悪くなっちゃう時があるの。
みーちゃん、それ男の子の前で言うことじゃないよ。
Oh god. Mion laughed indecently. Normally, I would laugh along with her, but right now, I just didn't feel like it. Homeroom ended, and we went to talk to Rika in the short time we had before first period started.
よー、リカちゃん。遅刻して怒られて、かわいそうだな。
Oh.
今日は俺がなでなでしてあげよう。
I was very aware of my gloom this morning, so I strove to keep my tone cheerful. I petted Rika's head the same way she always did, but she didn't cheer up at all.
みー。
Also, hey Billy, thanks for stopping by as well.
サトコはどうしたんだ? 風邪か?
For instance, she got a fever from playing around too much yesterday. If that had been her response, I would have accepted it in a flash. but the atmosphere around Rika felt somehow heavy. It was a little weird and actually made my unease worse. So hey, Gabriel. Yeah, no worries. You can have me in the background. It's fine.
ほらほらほら、男の子には話せない事情ってのもあるんだから。ケイちゃんはお席へ戻って戻って。
Okay. Mio, acting like the club president, pulled me back to my chair. Rika's gaze immediately fell back to her desk and she hung her head gloomily. Rika had said something odd, that Satoko might be a little late. They were living together, weren't they? Then she would have known for sure. I mean, she wouldn't have said might. I don't understand why she was absent, and that made me all the more anxious. Damn it, what's going on today? It's like, we started off on the wrong foot, and it wasn't going to get any better. Right?
どうしたのかな、ケイチくん。
Because normally this song, this piano piece, usually only plays like during very emotional scenes or before something really bad is about to happen, if I'm remembering correctly.
今日はなんだか朝から元気ないよ。
Rena noticed how I looked and whispered to me while the teacher wasn't looking.
そんなに俺元気ないか？
うん。見てるレナまで元気がなくなるくらいに。
I thought of jokingly saying, then don't look at me, but I didn't even feel like doing that.
レナに話せること？どんな悩みかわからないけど、聞いて力になれることなら聞くよ。
I won't tease you. Rena said this looking me straight in the eye.
昨日まで何も変なことなんか起きなくて楽しかったんだ。
Huh? Rena's eyes whitened for a moment. Not understanding what I meant, but she remained silent and listened.
穏やかで楽しくて毎日が賑やかで、そんな毎日が繰り返されることに何の不安もなかった。
うん、そうだね。毎日楽しいよ。きっと今日も楽しくなる。
絶対にそうなるって自信が持てるか？
Rena, feeling perplexed, couldn't think of something to say. I didn't blame her. What I was trying to say seemed a little confusing even to me.
思えばここ最近不安だったんだ。毎日が楽しいからこそ、ある日ふっと電球が切れるみたいに突然真っ暗になってしまうんじゃないかって。
うん、その気持ちちょっぴりレナもわかるよ。
Rena nodded gently.
私たちはいいことばかりは続かないって、ずっと楽しいことの裏側を時々恐れるよね。それってちょっぴり悲しいことだけど、でもそのおかげで私たちは楽しい毎日がずっと続くように努力することを覚えたんだよ。
Fucking hit myself on my desk.
そうだな。
だからケイチくんが楽しい日々がいつまでも続かないかもしれないって思うのは決して悪いことじゃないと思うよ。例えば、明日突然火山が大爆発して私たちが全員死んじゃうとする。
おいおい、物騒な話だな。
例えばその大災害をケイチくんだけが生き残ったとしたらどう感じる？
どうって、
I imagine myself being that sole survivor in the ruins of Hinamizawa. Rubble and the bodies of friends lying in heaps at my feet. It was such an abhorrent sight. Was it sadder that all my friends had died? Or was it sadder that I couldn't have died with them? I didn't know which, but I'd probably cry a lot.
胸が張り裂けるだろうな。まず泣くと思う。
そしてこう思うんじゃないかな。こうなることが運命だったなら、昨日までの日をもっともっと楽しく悔いなく過ごせばよかったって。
I didn't want to consider such a horrible event to be my destiny, but
思うだろうな。
楽しい毎日がいつか終わるものなら、それがいつかなんて誰にもわからない。だったら、たとえ明日そうなっても悔いがないように、精一杯楽しく生きるのが正解じゃないのかな。
it's kind of interesting that Higurashi's giving us like scenes like these where, you know, you're kind of told to enjoy life or enjoy the moment as much as you can, or enjoy the good times while they're here, before they're gone. That way you can at least not regret them, I suppose. Yeah, Rena says live. Meanwhile, Mion is like, you should kill yourself. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty interesting. Hopefully, at least, if you're watching this later, hopefully maybe you've lived through, like, or not through, but like, with maybe these morals in mind, or like these thoughts in mind to some extent, or at least you've done stuff that you've enjoyed, before like the rough times come.
そうだな。
This more applies to people that are very, very young, you know, usually like kids and teenagers before they become adults, but I mean, to an extent, this can apply to adults as well.
それに気づくのはとても難しいこと。多くの人たちは日々の幸せに飽食してるよ。今日と同じ明日が訪れると信じきってるから、今日できることを明日に送る。今日してやれる優しさを明日に送ってしまう。
Rena was usually cheerful and silly, but right now, she wasn't like that at all. She was taking my trouble seriously. It was a little reassuring.
でも、圭一くんはそれに気づけた。それはとても素敵なことだと思う。だからその不安な気持ち、大切にしてもいいと思うの。
この不安を大切に？
そう。明日には大災害でみんな死んじゃうかもしれない。だから今日、みんなにいっぱい優しくしよう。本当に週末が訪れた時、後悔しないために。
レナは実践してるのか？
Right. That's why we're getting this music right now. This is the music that you get before something tragic happens. We're getting it like a heartfelt scene. Soon we're gonna be having some like Satoko's gonna go berserk and start killing people or some shit.
明日みんなが死んじゃっても後悔しないようにさ。
It was such a hyperbolic conversation. But Rena just gave me a nonchalant nod of her head.
レナは楽しい毎日がたった一日を境に終わってしまうことを知ってるから。今日が楽しくても明日も楽しい保証なんかないって知ってるから。生きてるよ。精一杯。
It seemed like Rena perfectly understood all the anxiety I couldn't put into words. And on top of that, like a reliable teacher, she showed me what to do. Oh. Hey, Keiichi. There's no need to cry now.
ゆうべ、聡子の夢を見た気がするんだ。どんな夢だったかは思い出せないけど、朝からずっと不安で。
聡子ちゃんの元気な顔を見れたら安心するつもりだった。かな？
She was right on the money. If everyone had been here with smiles on their faces this morning, then the murk in my heart would have definitely been blown to smithereens.
じゃあ、聡子ちゃんが来たら優しくしてあげることだね。いつもの悪ふざけでも一向に構わない。 楽しく過ごすことができるなら。
そうだな。
So that even if these fun days came to an end, I'd have no regrets. I couldn't tell if what Rena told me had been comforting or just made me more anxious. But it was enough to make me think that if I saw Satoko again, I'd be honest with her. Lunchtime arrived with everyone pushing their desks together like always. Satoko wasn't here. Despite that, we had bento boxes for 5 lined up on our desks. Rika had made a bento for Satoko too.
さとこ、お昼までには来るはずだったの？
Rika was clearly acting strangely. We were talking to her, but it felt like she was too far away to hear us. I'd never seen Rika so downcast. So the rest of us started feeling down too. Hey, Rena, I understood what she had said. I understood what she had said before pretty well. When we were together, we were supposed to have lots of fun, so we wouldn't have any regrets if the world ended tomorrow. And yet, while I just resolved myself to do it, now we can't all be together. What the hell? because it was so sudden, wasn't it? I mean, yesterday was fun. So who could believe it would all end today? No volcanoes had erupted, and no earthquakes or fires had happened either. The cicadas were making the same noises they did yesterday, and the sun remained bright in the sky. It was the same normal day as always. So then, why? As I pondered, Rena's chopsticks reached in front of my face and stole the fried chicken out of my bento.
みんなが取らないからレナがもらうね。おいしい。
Rena tossed the entire piece into her mouth and began munching on it, her expression of bliss.
と、おじさんとしたことがレナに先生を許すとはね。よっしゃ、おじさんはこのプチハンバーグをもらうよ。
みえ、僕のおかずがなくなってしまうのです。
Rika also behind the curve, smiled again and went for someone else's bento. As I sat there dazed at how quickly everyone had changed, Rena sent a wink over to me. Come on, Keiichi. Live life to the fullest. That way, if a volcano erupts tomorrow, it'll be okay. Yeah, so like so we've had people seeing hallucinations. We've had torture chambers and, you know, nailing, like literal driving nails into people's like hands and body, and then dismemberments. And now chapter 3, we're gonna have a volcano erupting, it seems.
冗談じゃねえ。
Like Higurashi chapter 4 is gonna be a meteor hitting the earth.
最後の弁当が梅干しとご飯だけになってたまるか。それ、俺はミートボールをいただくぞ。
I stuffed the meat into my mouth and constructed a clumsy smile. I shouldn't have read that sentence out loud. I played along as if trying to fool myself. But as I did, it rapidly became less and less of an act. Satoko still wasn't here, but at some point we had regained our lively lunchtime. We had fun. We smiled, and we fooled around. Thanks, everyone. This was definitely the best thing to do. This way, when Satoko suddenly dropped by, we could welcome her with our best smiles. The more I smiled, the more I felt the anxiety from this morning clearing away.
笑う角に福来たるってことわざあったよな。
あるね。それが事実なら、おじさんは四六時中笑い転げてるよ。
レナは本当だと思うな。毎日笑ってれば毎日が楽しいよ。レナがいいことを言いますです。
じゃあ試してみるか。
Everyone took a deep breath, then brought their faces together, locking shoulders. And then... It's Keiichi's like annoying fucking laugh. Everyone laughed uproariously from their stomachs, trying to laugh out all the bad stuff accumulating in them. Sorry, I was looking away at the same time while reading that for some fucking reason. By the time our bento boxes were empty, everyone was right as rain. That's it? We're at the halfway mark already? Is this a super short chapter? What's going on? It's only been like... Yeah, it's been like 30 minutes. Having heard our friendly banter, Tomita and Okamura walked up timidly and spoke to us.
前原さん、楽しくお話し中申し訳ないんですけど、ちょっとお力をお借りしたくて。
They grinned dryly and scratched their heads.
なんだよ一体。テストの対策法は以前教えただろ。ちなみに千恵先生が授業中と含み笑いを教科書で隠した時が次のテスト範囲だ。
そうなんですか？
That's not what we're here for, said Tomita, elbowing Okamura.
実ボールが2階の雨どいに引っかかっちゃったんですよ。前原さんなら身長高いからなんとかなるんじゃないかと思って。
ほう。先輩に物を頼むからには何か見返りがあるんだろうな。俺は高いぜ。簡単に買収できると思うなよ。
Tomita and Okamura conversed for a short time, then gave their reply.
では前原さんには授業中に居眠りができる権利を与えましょう。それでどうです？
なんだそりゃ。授業中に寝るのは俺の勝手だろ。なんでお前らに権利をもらわなくちゃならんのだ。
そんなことないですよ。今度は前原さんが居眠りしたら全部先生に言いつけることにしますから。
なるほど、うまいうまい。
こいつらとんでもない交渉の仕方を覚えやがって。
すみません。
Okay, I think they stopped showing up.
ちょっとした冗談っす。
ほらほらゲイちゃん、おとなしく後輩たちの脅迫に屈したら。
And now Mion was getting on my nerves. Suddenly it came to me, and I took Tomita-kun and Okamura-kun's hands.
わかった。俺の降参だ。
Oh, they're back.
ボールを取ってやるから居眠りの権利を俺にくれ。
まあ。
見ろミオン。俺はちゃんと権利をもらったぞ。でもお前はもらってないよな。富田君、岡村君、ミオンが居眠りしたらすぐにチクれ。いいな。
Ren and Rika began to cackle at Keiichi's victory. My god. I wasn't sure how the ball managed to get stuck up there, but it was planted firmly in the school building's second floor gutter.
その棒を貸せ。俺なら多分届く。よいしょっと。
I took a bamboo pole and poked the ball with it. Damn, it's hard. Come on.
取れた。取れましたよ前原さん。どうもありがとうございました。
The ball rolled down the gutter and fell behind the school building. My underclassmen ran over in that direction, leaving me by myself. Mission complete, I guess. There was still a lot of time left until lunch break was over. I guess I should go back to the classroom. I'd absorb myself in a silly conversation with everyone and wait for the afternoon classes. Just when I thought that, I turned towards the entrance. Someone suddenly called out to me.
どうもどうも、こんにちは。
Oh. He is here very early. What's Oish-san doing here?
お昼休み中すみませんね。
It was a middle-aged man I didn't know. Or maybe I'd passed him a few times and I'd seen his face, but I didn't know him. With his half smile when his half smile deepened, something within me shuddered with fear. There was no basis for that. No reason. But I shuddered. I was somewhat confused about what those emotions, not quite understanding them myself. There was one thing I could say though. Nobody but teachers and students should be at school. But this person shouldn't be here. I felt less of a tremble and more of a sense of dread, like a caterpillar brilliantly colored in garish bilious greens were crawling across my forehead. A feeling of disgust that neither itchy nor gross could describe as the frizzly, dreadful hair rubbed against my brow. I didn't even want to see his face. I wanted to jump backwards and run away. An unpleasant feeling for which I didn't even know the cause. The other side of myself has nothing but questions. Hey, what are you doing? What are you disgusted by? This is the first time you've met him. It's rude to hate someone for no reason. No answers were coming. I held my silence, waiting, a damp sweat running down my forehead. When he saw that, Oishi thought maybe he was being intimidating, and gave me a relaxed smile. Did Oisan introduce himself at all? Just now? No, he didn't. He just said, "Hello there, sorry for bothering you." And he didn't introduce himself. How does Keiichi know his name? Unless this is being told from, like, a recollection. As in, all of this entire scenario right now is being told, like, say, from a future Keiichi being like, yeah, and when he saw that, Oishi thought maybe he was being intimidating and gave me a relaxed smile. Either that, or the Keiichis from the other timelines are like coming back and like converging with Keiichi right now. Anyway, I'm not sure if it would be Oishi's internal monologue. I don't think we get anyone's.
失礼しました。
I don't think we get anyone's internal monologue except for Keiichi's. Yeah, it's rude to hate someone for no reason. No answers were coming. I held my silence, waiting. Yeah, no. Anyway.
怪しいもんじゃないんですよ。
Yeah, the Keiichi verse.
私、沖宮警察署から参りました。大石と申します。あれ、手帳どこかな。あれ参ったな。ありゃ
He fished through various pockets, then finally found his police ID and showed it to me, grinning dryly. He may have been trying to use those clumsy-seeming actions to ease my anxiety, but I could definitely say it didn't work. Oh, Oi-san. Your clever tricks did not work on Keiichi number 3. He's seen them all before. Why was I this nervous? There was a reason, of course. If I wanted today to be the same as before, then today didn't need someone who hadn't been here back then. The fact that a man who wasn't here yesterday showed up today meant that today would be a different day than those before it. That would mark the end of the fun and happy days. I gulped and erased that ominous conclusion from my mind. Calm down, Keiichi. It's just an old guy who looks kinda perverted and came from the police department. Don't go deciding that the fun times are over. He just came here because of his job. Yeah. Just for his job. If he's working, then he would normally go to the teacher's lounge. right? The fact that he spoke to me, yes, it must have been to ask where it was.
職員室をお探しですか？なら、あそこの昇降口から入って。
I didn't want to look at this man for another second, so I started pushing things along. Oi-san, however, didn't seem to have any interest in the teacher's lounge.
ああ、いえいえ。職員室にはそんなに用事はないんです。それより、お友達を呼んでもらいたいんですが、お願いできますかね？
お友達？誰です？
女の子です。
Which girl?
北条聡子さんを呼んできてもらえませんか？
Satoko? My consciousness grew faint. Like I was about to pass out. Yes, my anxiety was realized. The dreadful, disgusting caterpillar was looking at me, about to crawl into my ear. Its frizzly, dreadful hair was touching my ear cavity. That's how bad it felt.
警察が聡子に何の用ですか？
It might be. Maybe if I was reading that line in Japanese, it would probably make a lot more sense with like how it was written. But at least like verbatim, like in English, it's a little vague as to whether or not that was like Oishi's internal dialogue, if it was meta commentary. Not 100% sure, but I guess it shouldn't matter too much. I shouldn't read too deep into it, I guess, even though this is a series about reading very deep into everything.
いえいえいえ、大した用事じゃないんです。2、3聞きたいことがありまして、ご協力をいただければ嬉しいんですがね。
Oh right, we got, what was it? We read the autopsy report, right? Last chapter. And then we had the scene where Oi-san was playing mahjong, and I believe they talked about the murders, or the murder that happened at the beginning of the chapter, that murder being of presumably Satoko's aunt and uncle that we thought had died before, but it seems like they had ran away. They had ran away from Hinamizawa, and they started like a new life or something, where the aunt was working as a hostess or some shit, even though like we learned in part 1 and 2 that she got like beaten to death, but I guess she didn't get beaten to death. Instead, she ran away and was now well, you know, her corpse was in a gutter essentially. Anyway, I guess that's why they probably need Satoko to like identify the body or some shit to confirm it. Why? Why of all people was it Satoko? Why would a police officer come here in the middle of the day for something that wasn't important? This man was very strange. I could smell it. And it smelled bad. Just a whiff from it made me want to grimace. Well, it's because he's standing out in the heat, Keiichi. You have to go into his car and sit with him in the AC so that he doesn't stink so bad. I knew that this man couldn't possibly be here to deliver her lost wallet or anything. I couldn't imagine what he needed from Satoko, but it had to be something unpleasant. My throat stung with burning pain, burned like a parched crevice wasteland. The wasteland broke apart deep within my throat and brought out the words from deep in my mind.
あんたに用はあっても、聡子にはないと思います。帰ってくれませんか？
Oishi probably hadn't expected that reply. He stood there surprised for a few moments. I did as well. I hadn't thought words like that could ever come out of my mouth. Things might still work out. This guy may have shown up out of the blue, but if I drove him off, maybe I could make it so that it never happened. Exactly, that would fix that burn immediately. Some ice cold AC. So much so that the doors will freeze. If I could do that, then I could get back. The peace we had until yesterday. I could get it back.
これは手厳しいな。あなた、さとこさんのマネージャーさんですかな。アポイントメントがないと面会は叶いませんか。
話がしたいだけなら電話ですればいいじゃないですか。
Her manager.
日中学校にまで押しかけてくるなんて明らかに異常です。
Breaking through a dam would have been the perfect analogy to use. What I mean, like, yes, and all of that is breaking through a dam. Are you fucking serious, Keiji? Especially with the whole like thing that went on with Hinamizawa. Get it, right? God damn it, dude. Why didn't I like this man? This man shouldn't have been here. I needed to make it so that this man wasn't here. Childish, selfish emotions bubbled up from the depths of my mind, and they each came out of my mouth just as it had been formed. Not liking the guy was my own problem, but to say things so bluntly to him, even I thought I was crazy.
ありゃ、いちいち正論な方ですね。こういう言い方をする人は苦手なんだよな。
Oishi grinned and scratched his sweaty throat. Even as he feigned stupidity, I could tell he was irritated. Hey, Keiji, why am I looking for a fight with this old policeman here? It's not like he brought the gift of misfortune with him all wrapped up in paper, right? Right. It wasn't like he had brought a package of misfortune with him and was asking me to sign here, please. Rationally speaking, I understood all that. So then, why was I so... Finally, I outlasted Oishi-san in our game of silence and he gave a big sigh. Then he addressed a few of my female underclassmen running around nearby.
もしもし、君たち、ちょっといいですかな。北条聡子さんを呼んできてほしいんですがね。
My underclassmen tried to smile and reply, but they noticed the oddly stiff air atmosphere around me and seemed hesitant to give a quick answer.
いませんか、北条聡子さんは。
北条さんは今日はお休みですけど。
休み。
Stayed home? His face remained smiling, but his tone was clearly one of ill humor. Such conspicuous spite caused my underclassmen, who had answered honestly, to cringe in fear.
そうですか。いやはやいやはや。
Yeah. Oh my god.
これはついてないです。
He was smiling broadly, but the way he laughed didn't make me feel better at all. When he noticed that his laughter wasn't getting anyone else to laugh with him, he stopped.
で、君たち、ここにいるお兄さんはなんて名前か教えてくれますか？
What's this guy's name, huh? He grabbed the girls by the shoulders so they wouldn't run away and crouched down to address them at eye level. Holy fuck, Oishi. The girls flinched away from the sharp, piercing light in his eyes. And in exchange for their release, they didn't resist and told him my name. Oh.
前原圭一さんですか。
This face looks different. But it's the same portrait. Okay. He said my full name. That was all he said, and yet I couldn't help but shudder. It was like he grabbed me by the collar with those words.
ああ、あなたひょっとして例の前原屋敷の御曹司。お父さん、高名な芸術家さんなんですってね。
He's being so fucking smug. Look at him. I heard your father is like that renowned artist, isn't he?
年に2回ほど東京の大展覧会に出展されてるそうじゃないですか。どんな立派な絵を描かれるかは存じませんがね。お母さんも知的そうな方じゃないですか。高学歴って聞きましたよ。どこぞの女子大を出られてるそうじゃないですか。あの年の女性で女子大でなんてすごいですよ。ひょっとしてお母さん、両家のお嬢さんなんじゃないですか。なんて噂が立ってるせいか。冷たい人だなんて噂が立てられてるなんてご存知で。
Why are you telling us all
町内会の
this?
会合、最初の1回以外は出てないでしょう。そういうのっていけないんですよね。こういう土地ではご近所付き合いをないがしろになんかできませんよ。
Yeah, like Oi-san at first, when he was introduced, he was like very nice. You know, he's like, you know, hey, I'm here to help. Second chapter, he was a little more rough with us. He's a little more direct, he was a little more slimy. And here we are in chapter 3. We're meeting Oi-san for the first time, again, for the third time. And now he's being very slimy. He's behaving like a vile cunt. And it's weird. A sense of eeriness slithered up my spine. That was my first experience of true terror. I couldn't believe it felt this terrible. For someone you've just met, to know everything about you already. Oishi clamped onto my shoulders and brought his eyes closed to peer into mine.
こういう土地ではね、敵は作らない方が絶対にいいですよ。さもないと。
Oh. Oishi dug into my shoulders with inhuman strength.
思わぬところで不利益を受けるかもしれません。因果応報という言葉もありますよ。風が吹けば桶屋が儲かるの正反対です。妙なところで買った恨みが信じられないところで返ってくることがあるかもしれません。そうなったら嫌でしょう。
And just in case you don't know, the word born there specifically means to carry, or something that is carried. So if it ends in an E, that's what that means. So grudges carried in strange places can come back to you.
誰だって恨みなんか買いたくないんです。
Well, carried or held, right?
敵を作らないに越したことなんかない。どうしました？肩がだいぶ凝ってますね。ちょっと揉んであげましょうか。ほら、気持ちいいでしょう。
Ow. This man wasn't just strong, it was like he knew exactly where to press to make me feel pain. Only 4 or 5 fingers were on my shoulders, and yet the pain made me want to bend over backwards. A few of the girls from my class were pretty shaken up, but didn't seem to want to help me. They weren't sure if they should go call a teacher. As for me, I couldn't take the time to wait until a teacher got here. It hurts.
もうそれくらいになさってください。 痛がってますよ。
え
Behind Oishi was someone. To my disbelief, it was Coach.
おや。これは入江先生じゃありませんか。ご無沙汰しておりますね。
Wait, so is Idiot a doctor? As in academically? Is he a doctor medically? Or did they mistranslate that as a, instead of teacher, they use the word for doctor, which is also like they refer to doctors with sensei. Let me check just to be sure. I want to make sure that this that I'm understanding this. No, it's professor. That says professor. So it's not doctor. Oh, well, sorry, it is doctor, but they mean it like academically. Okay, so not a literal medical doctor. Discomforted by Coach's sudden appearance, Oishi laughed scornfully. The vice of my shoulders, however, remained as strong as ever.
挨拶はいいです。それよりも、前原くんを離してあげてください。
Oishi smiled daringly and glared straight at Coach. He didn't release me in the meantime, of course.
先生のところにも後でお伺いしようと思っていたんですよ。いつもお忙しいとかで、ろくろくお話ができませんからね。
ええ。お望みとあれば、いくらでもお話を伺いますよ。でもその前に、令状をお持ちになってください。職務質問と任意同行は拒否できますからね。
Coach didn't display a shred of the weird behavior he'd shown at the baseball game and barbecue. He stared steadily at Oishi and fought so that he would release me. Jeez. His chances were terribly bad, of course. Compared to the relaxed Oishi, Coach seemed like he was being defeated mentally. It made sense. Coach had a somewhat narrow stature, but Oishi-san's body was packed with muscles. It wasn't even a contest. But Coach was fighting for me without taking a step back. Beads of sweat formed on his face, and though he paled, he was fighting for my sake. Suddenly, Oishi laughed and let go of my shoulders. My body exhausted, I fell right onto my backside.
前原くん、大丈夫ですか？
くそ。いってってってって。
I rubbed my shoulders where Oishi-san had latched onto them. The pain from falling over went away quickly, but this pain was lingering.
大丈夫ですか？前原くん。ひどいことを。
くそ。いってってって。
ちょっと肩を揉んだだけじゃないですか。
Hasn't Oishi-san offered massages in the past to others? Is this what he meant specifically by it?
前原さんも少し大げさすぎですよ。
Keiichi, aren't you being a little bitch?
男の子はもう少し我慢強くなっちゃ。
I wanted to retort, but I couldn't think of anything witty.
肩は上がりますか？痛みますか？痛みが強いようなら、ちゃんと診察をした方がいい。とにかく保健室へ。
Coach lent me a shoulder and walked beside me. What? Okay.
大げさですね。私に限って 傷が残るような真似をするわけがないじゃないですか。
Yeah, like we don't need coach to like, get on one knee and then put our arm over his shoulders and then have him help us like have him carry us to like the nurse's office. Like we don't need that.
ねえ。私、これでも現職の警察官なんですよ。
さあ、どんなご用があったか存じませんが、もうご用がないならお帰りを。今日のことは、今度所長さんに直接抗議しますから。
それは困りますね。
Oisan waved his hand sarcastically, pivoted around, and headed to the car parked by the school gates. And without turning back around, he got in and started the engine. Damn it. Who the hell was he?
あ
Damn.
いつは、大石クランドという刑事です。乱暴者でね、村中に嫌われている男です。前原さんも用心した方がいい。
Kurado Oishi. Just like I thought my gut instinct wasn't wrong. He would be the one to bring unhappiness, misfortune. Something that would ruin our peace. Shit. I won't accept it. All these fun days can't possibly end just because some guy like him showed up. I won't accept it. Cope seemed to be familiar with the school, so he brought me to the nurse's office without much trouble. The girls from my class came along as well, looking worried. Our teacher and the principal, having noticed the disturbance, came to see what was the matter.
前原くん、どうしたんですか？怪我でも？前原さん、さっき校庭で変なおじさんに。
Coach gently interrupted the girls trying to explain.
いえ、ちょっと転んでひねったみたいです。大丈夫だとは思いますけど、念のためと思いましてね。保健室をちょっとお借りいたします。
入江先生、よろしくお願いしますぞ。
The principal gave him a deep bow. It looked like Coach was acquainted with the adults at school. I think this is the first time we've seen the nurse's office, actually. So here's what it looks like. And then here's the console background. That stool is like awfully high, if I'm honest. Like that thing is like jutting out from like like holy fuck. Anyway, back to the regular backgrounds. Well, then again, it's tall here as well. Like that thing is how long that thing is. Sorry. He slid open the doors to the nurse's office, but there wasn't a nurse in there or anything. I'd figured. I'd never seen anyone but Chia-sensei and the principal working here. Coach didn't seem to mind the fact that there was no nurse and quickly made his way into the nurse's office. He instructed me to sit down and started washing his hands in the sink. Oh, I get it. He's the coach for the boys' baseball team. He must be pretty used to treating wounds with first aid.
ちょっと患部を見せてもらえますか？まだ痛みます。
いえ、もう全然痛みません。
It could be. It could be to get to like eye level. I just feel like that chair is super fucking high up. Like that probably reaches a little past my waist, and I'm pretty tall, like as well. So it's like that would seem uncomfortable to sit in. Then again, it's cranked all the way up, but I'm not sure why it would need to be cranked all the way up. Besides just like sitting a child there. So yeah, I guess because of like the size of the seat, maybe because of how small it is, it maybe really is just for kids.
本当に大丈夫です。
I rolled up my shirt and showed him my shoulder. No bruise, not even nail marks. And yet it had hurt so much I thought my shoulders would be crushed. Even the pain had disappeared without a trace. It hurt so much, but not so much as a bruise remained.
それだけあいつが慣れているということですよ。
Toy. Used to it, huh?
今度会った時は挑発しないことです。あいつを怒らせて得をすることは何もありませんからね。自宅に制服警官を連れて押しかけてきたら、ご家族だっていい気持ちはしないでしょ。
それは確かに。
しかし何があったんです？前原さんがあいつと喧嘩になるなんて。
あいつ聡子に用事があるとか言ってきて。
え？聡子ちゃんにですか？
Coach's gaze lowered and his expression clouded a bit. Somehow, that gesture seemed to be saying Oi-san was bound to come to Satoko, and did, and that it was no laughing matter. Coach fell silent in thought. Quietly, he took a Quietly, he took a compress out of the first aid kit and put it on me.
あの男はまだ聡子ちゃんにつきまとうつもりなんでしょうか。本当に蛇みたいにしつこい男です。
Maybe. Coach mumbled to himself.
付きまとう？あの大石っていうやつ、たびたび聡子のところへ来てるんですか？
Coach didn't answer, but the lack of a denial served well enough. What on earth did the policeman, probably a detective or something, need from Satoko? What mistake had led a detective to cling to the sweetly smiling Satoko?
前原さんは引っ越してきたばかりでしたね。
ええ、そうですけど。
お社様のたたりと聡子ちゃんの話は少しは聞いたことがありますか？
Huh? Well, I knew a few things about it. Certainly.
聡子の両親がダム計画の賛成派で、転落事故で死んだのはたたりだって話ですか？
Coach smiled thinly and dryly. So you know, he said, dropping his gaze. If I recalled correctly, there was an accident on the viewing platform at the public park she'd gone to with her family, and her parents died. And then, it was just big brother and little sister. And then, she was with Rika, and,
ご両親が亡くなった聡子ちゃんとお兄さんの聡くんはおじ夫婦宅に身を寄せることになりました。
あ、そうなんですか。
their parents died in the accident, and Satoshi ran away, leaving only Satoko to start living with Rika. I'd known that much, but this was the first time I heard they'd been brought to their aunt and uncle.
おじというのは聡子ちゃんのお父さんの弟にあたる方なんですがね。残念なことに夫婦揃ってちょっと尊敬に値する方々ではありませんでした。
Coach normally picked his words politely, so when he came out and said that they didn't deserve respect, it really made me wonder what kind of people they were.
聡子ちゃんの両親がダムに賛成していたとばっちりで、おじ夫婦も村内ではとても肩身の狭い思いをしていましたからね。聡子ちゃんたちを歓迎するはずもなかったんです。聡子ちゃんたち兄弟にとってとても辛い生活だったと聞きを読んでいます。
Bit by bit, Coach told me about the numerous agonies the Hojo siblings had suffered at their uncle's house. As their guardians, their aunt and uncle sucked up everything belonging to their immediate family. Satoko and Satoshi were crammed into a small room, and their lives were laden with things that were miserable both for their minds and bodies, or bodies and minds, in the first place. Since apparently their aunt and uncle weren't on good terms, there was no end to their fighting. Fuck. And as if in revenge for that, whenever they saw Satoko or Satoshi's face, they would always find a fault with them, scold them, yell at them, strike them, and take away meals as punishment. Oh man.
今思い出してもゾッとします。今の元気なさとこちゃんしか知らないあなたには、土毛色の顔をしてただ日陰でぼーっとしているだけの彼女など想像もつかないでしょう。
Right. I couldn't imagine it, and I didn't want to. That's how I honestly felt. But at the very least, Satoko wasn't like that anymore. She may have had a miserable life in the past, but it was different now. Something happened to change that life.
去年の綿流しのお祭りの夜にね、おばが死んでしまったんです。異常者にバットか何かで殴り殺されて。綿流しの祭りの夜には村の旧敵がたたりで死ぬと噂されてましたからね。この死も単なる殺人事件としてだけでなく、お社様のたたりではないかと村中でささやかれました。
A few days later, the deviant arrested for drug use confessed to further offenses and the incident was resolved. However, though it was resolved, no one knew whether the part about it being Oyashiro-sama's curse was true or not.
おじだってひなみ沢の人間ですからね。お社様のたたりを大層怖がり、逃げ出して雲隠れしてしまったそうです。聞いた話では沖宮あたりの実婚の中の女性宅に転がり込んでるとか。
それで解放されたんですか、聡子たちは。
おばは死に、おじは逃げ出し、誰も兄弟をいじめる者はいなくなるはずだったんですが、まるでその後を継ぐようにあの男が執拗に現れるようになったんです。
あの男？
Then Coach lowered his voice just a bit as if being aware of his surroundings.
大石です。
大石。さっきの男。
Mm-hmm. The events that just occurred came back to me. The hard to describe ominous sensation I'd felt from him came back to me.
あいつは少しおかしいんですよ。お社様のたたりをめぐる一連の事件はみんな解決しているのに、あいつだけがそれを認めていないんです。
Accepted. The incidents were all solved, and a detective supposedly with the police department didn't accept that.
あいつが近づく人間には必ず何かよからぬことが起こると言われています。ひなみ沢ではね、大石のことをお社様の。
ケイちゃん。
We know what Oishi-san is. If you remember from part 2, I believe, they mentioned that he was like Oyashiro-sama's messenger or something. Anytime Oishi-san shows up, something bad is about to happen. In other words, those days of peace and fun are coming to an end. Or, I didn't read that, sorry. The door flew open with a rattle and Mion came rushing in. Rena and Rika came running in a few steps behind her. And then Tomita-kun, Okamura-kun, and a few other of our classmates.
ケイちゃん、大石にやられたの？怪我を？
落ち着いてミヨンさん、怪我はありませんよ。念のため尻尾しているだけです。
ケイチくん、本当に大丈夫かな？みんなに聞いたら首を絞め上げられてたとか言ってて。
落ち着けよレナ。肩をすげえ痛く握られただけだ。ほら、あざだってないだろ。
たく、あんたら何やってんだよ。仲間だろ。なんでぼーっとしてたんだよ。なんでケイちゃんを助けなかったんだよ。
Oh man.
ごめんなさい、委員長。
Mion yelled at her classmates, baring her fangs. Tomita-kun and the others hung their heads in silence.
よせよミオン。富田君たちはその場にいなかったんだ。責めるのはよせ。
くしょー。 大石のやつ。
Mion kicked the floor with her heel a few times, her temper running hot. Our teacher, overhearing the commotion, arrived as well.
こらこらこら、保健室で騒がしくしてはいけません。院長、みんなを連れて保健室から出なさい。
ほらみんな、もう行こう。ケイチくんは大丈夫だって。ほら、みーちゃんも。
Mion was letting her emotions get to the best of her, so Rena stepped in instead and led everyone out of the nurse's office. Because do you remember again, also, in part 2, we learned this, that whenever someone is being attacked, right, everyone should show up. Everyone should help out. And that's like a common thing in Hinamizawa, where we learned that it was like an eye for an eye, but like times 2. Like if someone bullies one of you, you bring in 2 people and bully them. If they bring 10, you bring 20. If they bring 100, you bring in 200, and so on and so forth. So that's why Mion is like super fucking pissed. Wait, did I read that? Yeah, I did. The detective from Okinomiya Station, Kuraudo Oishi. It looked like the first impression I'd gotten from him hadn't been mistaken. Satoko's absence had amplified the vague apprehensions I'd felt since yesterday. And Oisan's appearance basically sealed the deal.
さて、じゃあ私はもともと千恵先生に用事があってきたんです。
あ、用事があって学校に来たんですよね。俺なんかのためにどうもすみませんでした。
Don't be so humble, he said, smiling easily.
おかげで役得と言いますか。前原くんのきめ細やかなお肌も存分に堪能できましたよ。はふー。
Oh my god. With a casual coach anyway, parting words, he instead continued.
では、失礼します。
Sorry, that's a casual or usual. With the usual, oh my god. I am not reading well today. I'm sorry.
大した怪我ではありませんが、患部を揉んだりするようなことは、
Oh my
くれぐ
god.
れも避けてください。もしも高熱が出たり、腫れたりするようなことがあったら、すぐに連絡してくださいね。そんなことはないと思いますが。
あ、そうだ、監督。さっきみんなが来る直前、何か言ってましたよね。大石のことを、お社様のなんとかって。
As he was about to leave the nurse's office, Coach placed a hand on the door and stopped.
ああ、お社様の使いですよ。
Yeah, servant, not messenger.
もちろん悪口ですがね。
お社様の使い？
前原さんはひなみ沢で毎年綿流しの夜に起こるひなみ沢村連続開始事件、通称お社様のたたりのことはご存知ですか？
連続開始？
So, we just learned about this, kinda. I mean, he kinda told us about it a bit ago, where, he mentioned the death of Satoko's, like, parents, right? And how her aunt was beaten to death on the night of the Watanagashi. And just like with every other playthrough, with every other chapter, on chapter 5, we learn about the Watanagashi. And then on chapter 6, which should be the next chapter that we're going to do in a little bit, that will be the Watanagashi. So I'm assuming he's going to explain this to us and be like, oh, by the way, the festival is tomorrow. Now that I thought about it, I did seem to remember overhearing Mion or someone in class talking about it like a ghost story. My god. On the festival day in June, one person would always die and another person would be spirited away, but they seem to call it demoning away here. What a fine story that was. Does it say Onikakshi? Let's see. Yes, I believe that kanji in the middle of the parentheses was the Oni kanji. Anyway, I figured they made it up to scare me, but it was true.
一体どこの誰が言い出したのかもわからない話ですが、いつの頃からか大石のことをお社様の使いと呼ぶようになりました。
なぜですか？
あの男がその年のたたりの犠牲者を決めていると噂されているからです。
Huh? He decides the sacrifices. Whenever June came around, Oishi-san would start paying frequent visits to Hinamizawa.
亡くなったり消えたりする人たちの多くがあの男の執拗な訪問を受けているからです。
4 years ago, it was known that the victim of the dismemberment, rumored to be the sacrifice, had been seeing Oishi-san numerous times leading up to the incident. The sacrifices 3 years ago were Satoko's parents. Right before their accidental deaths, Oishi-san had apparently visited their home. The one who disappeared 2 years ago was Rika's mother. And again, people know that before she vanished, Oishi-san had been talking to her extremely frequently. The one who disappeared last year, Satoko's older brother, Satoshi. Satoshi too had apparently been approached by Oishi-san many times before he vanished. And then, this year, this time, Oishi-san was trying to contact Satoko.
冗談じゃないです。
噂ですよ、前原さん。そういう噂があるというだけです。
I hadn't said that because of the rumors of Oishi being Oyashiro-sama's servant, or his contacting someone foreshadowing who would be the sacrifice that year. It was because the ominous hatred I felt towards Oishi-san was becoming more substantiated, more real.
サトコ、今日欠席したじゃないですか。
え？そうなんですか？
That looked like news to Coach. I thought he might have known why Satoko was absent today, but...
では失礼します。
Hmm.
前原くんも早くみんなのところに行って安心させてあげるといいでしょう。
そうですね。
Hmm.
そうします。
Now I guess we gotta get going again. Coach left the nurse's office and headed towards the teacher's lounge. Now, is this the third transition to the next part of the chapter, or is this the end of this chapter? Because now, Higurashi started doing this thing, where, no, it's the end of the chapter. Oh my god, already. Because last time, or yesterday, when we were doing chapter 4, there was 3 transitions, which I think was the first time we've seen that in the series. I don't remember it happening before, which is crazy. But alright, let's go ahead and look at the tips. Yeah, it's not consistent, but usually, at least up until right now, they followed the theme where you have your first transition at some point in the chapter, which dictates that you're about to enter the second half of the chapter. And then that second half of the chapter usually takes place in the afternoon leading towards nighttime. And it usually ends with Keiichi either getting home at night or when it's dark, or him going to bed. It's usually one of those two. He'll be like, I left Rena and I went home, and I just went to sleep. Or it's Keiichi in his room and he's mumbling about something, and then he's like, I'm gonna go to bed. And then he just goes to sleep. It's never ended, like, right in the middle, like, after lunch, for example, because normally there's a lot more to cover in the game. So, It's interesting. But this chapter was like your usual like hour and 20 or so. But let's go ahead and look at the two tips that we got. So we got the research notes and Oishi's post memo. The Hojo family. Every year, Oyashiro-sama's curse claims 2 victims. This means that with 4 years in a row, there have been 8 now, but it's worthwhile to note half of them have been members of this family. Note, the curse on the second year, a certain falling accident, involved the death of Hojo, a dam proponent, and the disappearance of his wife. She was pronounced dead the following year after being considered to have vanished under perilous circumstances. The curse of the 4th year involved the death of the Hojo sibling aunt, who was then their foster mother, and the disappearance of the elder brother. The Hojo family is a poor one, and it's hard to say. Mr. Hojo's job went very well. Apparently, upon re-employment via family connections, there was a plan for them to return to the home of the mother's side of the family. For Mr. Hojo, the eviction due to the Hinamizawa Dam project and the payment of a large amount of compensation money was essentially a windfall. Mr. Hojo actively embraced the Ministry of Construction's negotiations from an early stage and was selected as representative of the dam proponents. It was rumored that he had been bought out by the Ministry of Construction for doing so, but the truth is unknown. However, the dam's proponents were in the vastly outnumbered minority. In addition, as the Sonosuke family strengthened its own foundation and promised support against the dam, all of the proponents, save for Mr. Hojo, switched over to the anti-dam side. At this point, Hinamizawa was completely reunited against the dam, and Mr. Hojo was held up to ridicule as a stooge of the dam project's proponents. He was essentially used as a scapegoat for the anti-dam coalition. In the end, the dam project collapsed with Oyashiro-sama's curse and the dismemberment incident. However, punishment towards the bitter enemies supporting the dam project continues to this day. There are not many left today who supported the dam project, nor who had a negative reputation at the time. If there were any candidates left for the curse, it's the husband of the housewife who was beaten to death last year, Teppei Hojo, and Mr. Hojo's daughter, Satoko Hojo. Satoko? Why would Satoko be involved? Strangely, these two are the only candidates left. Will this year's curse come down on the two of them? There is more than enough value observing them both. What the fuck? Why would Satoko be a candidate? Alright, well, let's look at Oishi's post memo. To Oishi-san. There was a call for you from Section 4's Chief, Shigeharu. Apparently, the slaughtered corpse in the Ojikawa River is related to the S group as we thought. We're still verifying what happened behind the scenes, but apparently, the deceased filled up dozens of self-created fictional bank accounts to their limits with money from the S group, reaching around 100 million yen. It appears there were 3 or 4 men with former S group connections involved in this. They've already disappeared along with millions of yen. The deceased was tortured on that point for information, and she was clearly slaughtered as an example to others. There are apparently some real wizards chasing down the people who disappeared. They're also spreading letters to related Yakuza groups not to harbor them. There's still no evidence that Teppei Hojo is one of these people. As far as Chief Shigeru can tell, he hasn't been told anything. He was her pimp, but she didn't trust him at all, did she? Teppei Hojo has left the apartment in Okinomiya and has returned to his former residence in Hinamizawa. Huh? He left Okinomiya and is back in Hinamizawa? Like right now? Um. Okay.